It looks like an ASIC, it smells like an ASIC, and it tastes like an ASIC. Hello YouTube, on today's postbag video there are two parcels, and what's inside these parcels is a bit of a mystery. But before I show you this, you need to like my video and subscribe.
So now it's okay?
There's just one more thing you need to do, and that is to click on the bell so that you get a notification when a new video comes out.
I hope it's okay.
Perfect. Before I unwrap the parcel, we can see that the house is using 1.6 kilowatt hours. I do have two 1080 Ti graphics cards and an M3 running. The M3 is a bit poorly, it's not running at full performance. Sometimes one hashboard fails, sometimes two, sometimes all three fails. I've been using the M3 to heat the house up, but the last 2 days I've had to use the boiler for about an hour a day, so I need something else to keep the house warm. It's about 3:30 at the end of November. I've had a tiny amount of sun. There's nothing at the moment because the voltage is too low. The sun will set soon. I have a slight problem with the scales. It doesn't power up. There's about 3 volts left in the battery, so for now I'm going to use the other scales. Because these parcels are quite light, I'll have to measure both of them and then I can halve the weight. The scales is upside down. It says 5.8 kilos. When I measured it before, it's about 6 kilos. So these parcels are about 2.9 to 3 kilos each, which is very low for an ASIC. So what's inside these parcels? I'm going to try to open this parcel without damaging the bubble wrap, because then I can then reuse the bubble wrap for something else. The box appears to be in almost excellent condition. There's a little dent there, a couple of holes there, something's cut into there. So the bubble wrap hasn't done that much of a good job of being on the outside. The box is 37 centimeters by about 26 centimeters and 19.5 centimeters tall. If you fold the box out too much, it splits. Inside is a pink foam thing. There's a little arrow cut out there. I'm not sure what that's for. But it's like a box which is glued all together and then the lid is just taped on. That arrow must mean this is the top. The package weight is 2.4 kilos, which is super light. That's almost the weight of a power supply. I've just noticed on the underside of the lid there's some foam cutouts been stuck together so the hash boards can't wobble about, and then there's another piece here which goes on top of the control board. It looks like an ASIC, it smells like an ASIC, and it tastes like an ASIC. There you go, I did actually lick it. And once again I forgot my uniform. So this device, which looks like an ASIC, has 2 hash boards. Each hash board has 2 PCIe connectors, and there is a switch there which is in the off position. Okay, so what does that say on that switch? R544, and on the reverse side it doesn't say anything. The control board has some cutouts, probably to assist airflow, because these are usually rated between 0 and 40 degrees Celsius. If it gets above that then it could cause problems, but there won't be an issue there because the heat can just escape. This is another machine with only one fan. There is a fan connector for the second fan, which means I'm going to have to flip this fan the other way around. So instead of sucking air in through the front, it's blowing hot air out, because I attach a 6-inch duct around the fan so I can direct the heat somewhere else, either outside or into a room that needs heating up because it is now winter. Some people ask me if they need to do this step, and the answer is no, unless if you want to copy what I do and direct the airflow somewhere else. If you've got machines in a small room, then it's probably wise if you did do that. So looking at this machine, there's plenty of scuff marks all over and lots of scratches. It looks like there's 6 chips on each hash board. They may have been able to fit a third hash board in there, or it might be a very tight fit, or it could be because this needs a lot of airflow. If you are mining at home, you might want to consider getting a 120mm fan guard, which will stop most of the dust from getting inside. These ones are quite flexible and they've got punch outs for the holes, which you can just pop out with your finger or a small screwdriver or something like that. That would normally go on the intake. So what you would do is undo the 4 screws, remove the guard, sandwich this in between, and then attach everything back up. So it'll look something similar to that. But because I'm doing this the other way around, I'm going to install it on this side. Now I could move the fan to the rear, but I don't see any point in doing that. I'm not able to remove the last screw without rounding the head off. So I'm going to try and be creative and tuck one of the corners underneath the metal pad, and hopefully it will fit. I just need to remove this screw because the PCB is touching the rear cover. That's finally in. It's not perfect, there's a little gap there and it is a bit warped. If there was a fan here, then that would have been an issue because that warping would touch the fan blades. But this is my intake, which means I need to flip these fans around. With the fan guard, it's important you put it the right way around. If you look at it from this point of view, you can see that this goes upwards. If you did it the other way around, then you're going to squash this on top of the fan blades, and as you can see, as I'm spinning this, the fan blade moves with it, so that's kind of important. So to flip the roll to make this become an exhaust fan, all I have to do is flip it 180 degrees. You could have it like that or like that, it doesn't really matter. I assume by doing this you are going to lose some efficiency on the fan, because these plastic bits here are meant to assist the airflow being extracted quicker. It probably wouldn't have an effect on an intake, but if this was an intake fan, you would have the fan guard here and then the finger guard on top. But for an exhaust you don't need it. Looking inside the machine, we do have some dust in there. You can see some around this diode. If I wipe my finger on there, dust comes off. So I'll just give that a bit of a clean. Now people are going to say, well, they've been mining with this. Yes, that's kind of true. I've had this hosted for a few days, but their farm should really be clean. There's some more dust on there. It's only a little bit, but then it's only been on for a few days, or it could actually have been on for longer than that, I don't know. Okay, so that's a bit cleaner now. The reason why I've had it hosted for a few days is because at the time of ordering there was an option on the order form for hosting. You had to contact them separately, but they've fixed that now. On the form you do have the option for hosting or postage, so they are improving a bit by bit. But like I said, this was ordered before they made that improvement. They actually suggested I set it up, take advantage over the weekend whilst I'm waiting for the delivery to be arranged. So this has actually been mined into my pool, and I will cover that in the next video, even though I've actually filmed that before this video. The miner is 36.5 centimeters by about 12.5 centimeters, so it's slightly less than an Antminer, and it's 15.5 centimeters tall. And the control board are about 17 centimeters where the hash boards are. There's some more headers here, not sure what they are for. They might be for programming, which kind of gives you a clue to what this is. So I've not disturbed the warranty sticker there, and there's no warranty stickers on the front. So this didn't come with a power supply. It wasn't advertised with a power supply, and I didn't ask for a power supply. So do I have any power supplies? I've got a stack of power supplies, 5 APW3++ power supplies and 4 of these power supplies, which are generic 1600 watt power supplies. So I've got plenty of power supplies. I do have another power supply still in this parcel, so I'm going to save that for an unboxing video, which I might do tomorrow, but not sure when I'll release it. So to power this miner, it's spec'd at running at 600 watts, so that's 300 watts per card. Only 5 connections are needed, so a power supply with 10 connections should be fine if I'm going to power up 2 machines, because I'll only need 1200 watts, which does give some headroom for some overclocking if I wanted to. I think I'll use this power supply. One slight problem: if you're going to use a power supply with 10, you need to find one with a long lead, so then you can power 2 control boards at the same time. I'll just check if this one has that option. In fact, it does here. It's got a little adapter on there because I was using it for a graphics card or something. There are 2 additional slots unpopulated for some more ribbon cables. This ribbon cable is a bit weird. It's in 3 different pieces. There's a twin core there, and then 2 lots of multi-cores, different sizes. And then when you compare it to this one, there's only 2 identical cables, so maybe that has split somewhere on this cable here, which is a bit strange. People ask, can you power up one miner with 2 different power supplies? Yes, you can do if you keep the hash board on the same power supplies. So if I run out of connections, there's 2 connections here, these could be on another power supply. You can also power up multiple miners on a single power supply as well. You just got to look at your number of connections, avoid using cheap splitters, and make sure you've got enough power on the power supply. In this case, this is a 1600 watt power supply, and I should only be consuming 1200 watts. If I was to consume more, then the power supply will fail. On the front of the machine, there's an error light, a ready light. That's probably a reset switch. This might be the IP report button, and that's definitely the Ethernet port. I say might be because nothing's labelled on the front. But if you've been mining before, you kind of know what's what. The important part is to have a network cable. Someone did ask me if the Z1 had Wi-Fi connectivity. The answer is no. Most miners don't have Wi-Fi support. There might be like 1% of miners that do. Power consumption on boot up is about 40 watts. That was an angry roar. It was only a short one. I'll do an IP scan. I'll also check the router. That now running at about 600 watts or 570 watts, which means it's mining already. dBs is just under 50. Hopefully this is already set up to mine pool. On the IP scan you'll see something called blackMiner, all lowercase except the letter M. It does say that the manufacturer is Apple, which is a bit strange, it can't be. When you log into the interface, you ask for a username and password. You don't get any instructions, so I'm going to try root and roots, and that's let me in. Page isn't full screen. It does look similar to the Bitmain interface, but the Bitmain interface is based on the OpenWRT interface. The dB level has gone higher now. It's around 60 dBs, and I can feel some heat. So on the overview page, it looks exactly like Bitmain's interface, maybe with a darker theme on there. Administration gives you access to choose a password. Monitor is just the log, and then you've also got the kernel log, just like on the Antminer. The upgrade page, exactly like the Bitmain Antminers. So everything is pointing to an ASIC. Reboot obviously gives you the reboot option. Let's have a look at the miner configuration. That's very strange. It looks like it's mining Zen, but then Zen doesn't have ZEN. Okay, so this is mining something which doesn't belong to me. You can go to miner configuration. We have 3 separate pools. You can tell it to stop running when it reaches 80 degrees Celsius, and we can customize the fan speed. On the miner configuration, we have a list of algorithms, or should I say bit stream. The reason why I say bit stream is because this is not an ASIC, this is an FPGA. You know, like one of those really expensive, awkward to set up because you have to program them. Not with this. All you have to do is upload a bit stream and then you're away. For some reason, I don't have the 2 new secret bit streams. The bit streams are but on the manufacturer's website, it lists them as Algo 1 and Algo 2. That's because these are private bit streams, so wherever I say or you hear a random sound like a dolphin and a chicken. The reason why, because the manufacturers are not bothered about giving this information out, other miners are. If you keep this on a need-to-know basis, as in by the miner, then you'll get this information sent to you. But this will be blurred out on this video because you haven't bought one of these machines. So I forgot to mention the name of this device. It's the BlackMiner F1 FPGA machine. So in the email, you'll receive the firmwares, the 3 separate files. They give you a link to the calculator so you can work out they've optimized algorithm 2. Its overclock to 460 MHz to give an improved hash rate of 1.577 GHz. There's a total of 3 files. One of them is the root file and the other 2 is for the 2 different algorithms. So I would do the root file first. They don't really give you any instructions on how to upgrade the firmware. If you visit the firmware page, you won't see the new algorithm 1 and 2, because as I said, this is a private bit stream. So there are 2 separate instructions on how to upgrade. The first one will just be through the web interface, as you would do with Bitmain. In fact, it does tell you what the username and password is on here. It's root and root. So that one's easy. After you upgrade the firmware, you select the algorithm, and you can adjust the frequency, configure the IP if you need to, and it tells you how to remove the existing bit stream if the storage is full. You can do it through SSH or WinSCP, which is much easier if you're using Windows. SSH is more for the Linux people, because they'll know the commands. You don't really need to know all the commands because it's all written here anyway. One command that they haven't listed here is ls for listing all the files, and here we can see what the best performing algorithms are. They last updated this on the 23rd of November, and we can see Algo 1 is $14 a day, Algo 2 is $8 a day. So you can either use this information, which was updated 6 days ago, or check yourself. So we've also got on this page status and network. Obviously this is going to be the same as Bitmain. Network will allow you to configure the network. It's currently DHCP, and then status will give you all the information about the pool, the hash rate, errors, fan speed. Now what's going to have this machine at home mining, but it is very loud. If you select the root folder, make sure you select the right one, you don't want to brick the machine. Whilst that's updating, I'm going to open up WinSCP. For this you'll need to know the IP address, username and password. It should be the same credentials as logging in on the web interface. By default, SFTP is selected, you need to change that to SCP. You can use this method on the Bitmain Antminers as well to get access to the file system. You'll get a message about fingerprints, just click on yes. That's if this is the first time you connect into the machine. Now the reason why that failed is because the machine is rebooting. Probably wasn't a good idea to do it whilst the firmware upgrade was being processed. That text is a bit strange, it says quiet library. That's quite loud for a quiet library.
When we log in, we're in the home/root folder and there's nothing in there. You have to go out until you start seeing some files. You need to go to the FPGA folder, which is called FPGA bits. You can see the existing algorithms. So we can open up the zip file. You only need the bit stream and the config file. You don't need to upload any of the other files. You can either select it from your left hand window or just drag it across from anywhere else. In my case, I'm doing it directly from WinRAR. This firmware file is dated the 11th of November, and that's probably for these two new bit streams. I'm just going to do the same other algorithm. We can see we have an error here. No space left on the device. I've repeated this test before, and it said previously uploaded 6 meg instead of 8 meg. So I have to delete 2 meg from this folder. That's one disadvantage of this machine. So what I'm going to do, sort by date order, I'll sort it by size order. And what I'll do is I'll look at this list and not delete any of the top profit bit streams. So here we see Algo 1 and Algo 2 are the code names for the new algorithms. On the guide it does say to delete 0xBTC. So you need to delete the config file and the bitstream file of both of them. You can re-download these from the website. You try to copy the files again. It tells you how much it copied before and how much it needs to do again. So there's about a 2 meg difference there. So that's now copied across. We go into configuration, we can see the new algorithms. We can see, and I was using when I had these machines hosted. This is different to the hosting because it would tell you what you needed to write here. In fact, it does kind of still do that. Instead, it populates all 3 across. So I was actually on this pool at a higher hash rate. And you want 3 separate pools in case if one pool fails, you can then move on to the next pool. I'll just copy my address in here. Normally, I don't have an issue with showing people what my address is. I've got nothing to hide. But because the algorithms are supposed to be private and secret, if I show you the address, you can kind of guess what I'm mining. So I'll just apply that. I won't also be showing you what pools they are as well, but you can guess what the
Algorithm is from looking at that. Just going to check the pool hash rate on these two because I want them to be in order. So looking at the pool status, we can see 1 terahash on this pool, 3.7 terahash, and almost 5 terahash. And if I look at the pool status, it's already hashing away on there. I'm just unboxing the second one. I've just noticed a SF Express label, which is a Chinese courier. This has a date of the 24th of November. UPS was aware of the delivery on the 27th of November, and they picked it up on the 28th and delivered it today on the 29th. So it's been traveling through the weekend. So it looks like it has to go from their mining facility to their dispatch facility over the weekend, which means they receive this on the Monday. So then they can contact UPS on the Tuesday to arrange the collection. Just looking on the second one, there's some kind of feather or something on there. Obviously this one's going to be dusty as well. There's more scratches on the side. It looks like they've rubbed off some fingerprints. There's definitely a fingerprint there. Not my fingerprints because I've got gloves on. The only other machine that I'm aware of that allows you to change algorithm is the Baikal machines. They have a few on their selection. They rarely upgrade the firmware, but this company, HashAltcoin, has just recently released Algo 1 and 2, which are the 2 new ones. Released them about 1 or 2 weeks ago. So this company is a lot more active than Baikal. Baikal will tell you what algorithms they're going to bring out, and if they ever get round to it. There's also an alarm feature. If you upload a bit stream and select it from the option, but don't upgrade the firmware, you'll get a flashing red light and a very loud beep. This won't be very useful in the farm because farm is unmanned, but it might annoy to people who visit there to do some maintenance. That firmware is now uploaded. It stops beeping. I changed the IP address, uploaded the bit stream, put in the pool configuration, selected the Algo 1 and put in the pool information. When you apply the settings, it starts to mine there and then. But because I've not got around to upgrading the firmware, that's why the buzzer went off. There's also advanced settings. You can see on the left now that the window has not resized itself to the browser. That's because it doesn't handle refreshing of the browser window properly. So that's a little tiny cosmetic bug. But looking at the advanced settings, we can see a frequency, and we can also configure different frequency clocks per chip, which is very strange. I've never seen anything like that before. I've seen with modified firmware you can change the frequency per hash board, but I've never seen it on a chip by chip basis. You can see the chip temperatures are around 52 Celsius. I've just checked the other machine, just under 60. A few hardware errors, but a few is okay. So it's A6 per hash board. I've actually labelled it as A6, which technically, if I leave it like this, is correct, but they're actually FPGAs because you can change them. But you can't mix the different algorithms. You can't have different algorithms in each sequence, and you can't have different algorithms on the machines. If you wanted to have more than one algorithm, you need to have more than one machine. I've got 2 machines here on one power supply, and it's consuming 950 watts, which means I've got room to overclock these machines if I wanted to. If you're hosting these machines, you don't have access to the frequency clock. All you can do is choose what algorithm you want to mine, what pool you want to select. With the pooling, you can only select the algorithm that they tell you. You've got the machines yourself, you can pick the pools yourself. So I've now got the flexibility in finding better performing pools if I wanted to. The default frequency, 540. which is not the highest in the list. You can go up to 690. Technically we can overclock depending on the temperatures, power consumption and the quality of the power supply. If you've got poor quality power supply, you shouldn't really be using it in the first place. You also need to check the cable rating. This should be rated at 1600 watts when we have all the connections connected like we have here. So I've got a potential of another 150 watts that I get out of this power supply. So I'm going to try one on 600 and one on 625. By having two machines I can find out, well I'll have to select 630. By having two machines I can figure out easier a stable point on these machines. So port 4028 is also open, which means the CASHBACK API is also there. You can use that to reboot the miner or anything else you really wanted, information out of there. The miners also have dovetail grooves on here, which means you can slide them together. So just basically like the bit main line. With GPU mining, the ASICs are taking over the GPU only algorithm, except for Monero, constantly changes. But other algorithms are being swallowed up by ASIC miners. The problem with ASIC mining is that you're stuck with one algorithm, which will become less profitable when more people buy the machines or if there's a more powerful machine that comes out. Past issue with the FPGA, which is the middle ground, because all ASICs begin off as an FPGA, is that they're very difficult to set up. You need to know how to program them up, and the ones on the market, which are overpriced, about $3,000, $4,000, those run extremely hot. Need to add additional cooling to them, such as an additional fan or water cooling, if you know how to do custom water cooling. With the HashAltcoin blackMiner F1, you can try out some algorithms, but that won't be Togo 1 and 2. It's just the older algorithm. You can try for an hour. So there's nobody in the queue, and these are the people who've been using them. When you buy the machine, you've got the choice of hosting them or buying it, owning the machine like I have here. If you use the invitation code JNBTNQ, you can get a $100 coupon, which will entitle you to either $100 worth of electricity for cloud mining, where you have one of these machines allocated to yourself, charge you 10 cents per kilowatt hour, they build you every day, which is $1.44 a day. That basically means that you get about 69 and a half days worth of free electricity, just over 2 months worth of free electricity. If you decide to use the coupons for future purchases, you can use up to 2 coupons per miner. This offer ends the 25th of December and the coupons expire at the end of May. So that invitation code is JNBTNQ.
If you've liked this video and found anything useful, leave a thumbs up. If you haven't done already, please subscribe and click on the bell for more notifications. And could you also like my Facebook page? And I'll see you next time.